Gypsy. Oh, wow. That's incredible. Cool. Do you want to go back there? Yes, I'm there. Can you do time for me?
I'm just a member of a grassroots organization. My son goes to one of these citywide schools, and I've been advocating for this type of program in Bronx for quite some time. So I got involved with the PACE group because they're interested in promoting these D&T programs throughout the city, in particular in underserved areas where Bronx is sort of ground zero.
Hello, Russia. There are many gifted and talented programs in Russia.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about PACE. PACE, just real quick in the Bronx, why PACE is focused on the Bronx, what the problem on the Bronx is, on the high side of the Bronx.
Yes, sir. Really interested in gifted and talented programming.
And welcome back.
What do you have to say about it?
Second annual Free Gifted and Talented Open House in the Bronx will be held Thursday, October 29th at the Bronx Library Center on 310
Right.
East Kingsbridge Road. The open house is a great opportunity for parents to explore the gifted and talented options near their communities and to talk to experienced parents and DOE representatives. Here to tell us more on what we can expect is Parent Alliance for Citywide Education Bottom Alpha member Davian McShane. Welcome, sir.
Hi, how are you? Just call it PACE, it's much
Just
easier.
PACE, thank
Yeah.
goodness. So PACE it is. So how did you become involved as a member of PACE?
So my son attends a citywide program in Manhattan. He took the test several years ago. So the way the DOE operates is they have a citywide test that's open to all children. You need to sign up for it when they're 4 years old. It's pretty young to test kids, but it identifies high achieving or high performing kids at that age. And they go into a lottery based on their scores, and they're eligible for either a citywide program or a district program. So I'm a Bronx resident, lived here for a very long time. My wife and I raised our son here, and we quickly realized that this was somewhat an arduous process. There wasn't a lot of information available, but more importantly, when our son became eligible, there weren't a lot of options for Bronx parents and obviously Bronx children. So through some local advocacy, we started working towards developing programs here in the Bronx, and then I was able to hook up with an organization like PACE, whose members represent families from all the citywide schools. And again, their agenda is to promote schools, promote education for citywide G&T, and to expand those opportunities, again, primarily now in the Bronx and underserved communities.
Well, it's fortuitous that you're here because Councilman King was talking about earlier about pushing for having more gifted and talented programs here in the Bronx. Why do you think, as a Bronx resident and parent, that the Bronx is underserved in this way?
I think it's just a lack of understanding. There's a lack of information. Parents don't know that these opportunities are available to their children. I think that's number one. So Daily News had an editorial a week ago where they noted that 64% of the children on the Upper West Side test for a G&T program. So on the Upper West Side, you basically show up at the DOE, sign your child up for kindergarten or pre-K, and then the next thing you do is you sign them up for a G&T program. In the South Bronx, only 7% of the families or children sign up for the G&T test. So parents in the South Bronx want the exact same thing for their children as parents do on the Upper West Side. We argued, and we have argued, that the DOE hasn't done a good job in promoting these opportunities and promoting the visibility of these programs to families in underserved areas, which are primarily Black and Hispanic communities. And the Bronx is overwhelmingly Black and Hispanic. The second part of this is that these programs are primarily located in Manhattan. There are 3 citywide programs in Manhattan, and there's another program in Brooklyn and Queens. They're not accessible to Bronx families. Bronx is a huge borough. Geographically speaking, it's got the largest school districts in the city, so just getting from point A to point B via mass transit is very difficult. So there's another financial aspect to this, in that for myself, fortunately, my wife and I have the means to send our child to one of these schools on the Upper West Side via private bus service. But a family that lives in the South Bronx or the East Bronx may not have the resources to do that, and essentially, de facto, they're not eligible for these programs.
You become excluded.
They become excluded simply because they can't afford, the commuting costs to get to these programs.
That's.
Yeah, you think public education is free? It's really not.
I mean, and also I think it probably boils down to a lot of these families probably were never told as children themselves, they were unaware that these programs existed, so how are they supposed to know as adults that they're available for their kids as well? So that makes it.
Yeah, there's a lot of word of mouth involved here, so if you live in a district where there is a lot of interest in these programs, everybody on the playground is talking about, did you test? Everybody on the playground knows when that test takes place. That's not happening in communities that are underserved. So there's also an issue with district programs. So there are 5 citywide programs. PACE, as I mentioned, represents the parents, the children in those 5 citywide programs. But the DOE also offers district programs. So just to give you an indication of how underserved the Bronx is from a district level, we have the fewest district programs in the city of any borough. So there are only 6 district-wide programs that serve 6 school districts in the Bronx. That's as many as in Staten Island. There are twice as many children in the Bronx as there are in Staten Island. And as the councilman mentioned earlier, you can go to districts in Manhattan and Brooklyn where there are 18 gifted and talented programs in a single district. So, yeah.
So what kind of support does PACE offer parents and their families?
So right now it's just about education. So we have a website. We've been working very closely with the Bronx Borough President's Office. And as you mentioned, we're having an information session tomorrow at the Kingsbridge Library. It's all about educating parents, letting them know that these opportunities exist. There's no ulterior motives or agenda. We're all just volunteer parents whose children have benefited from these programs, and we just want to tell people our story. Because I think when parents hear all the good things that we've seen, they're going to go and that extra mile, because there is a little bit of effort required here to get their kids signed up. So it's about education, and then tomorrow night we'll also be signing up children to take the test. The deadline for signing for the test is November 9th. Hopefully we'll be getting 100, maybe 200 extra kids signed up who weren't even aware that these opportunities existed before tomorrow.
What's the age range of children?
So this is really for pre-K children. Gifted and talented program starting kindergarten. I understand it's very young, but what we've seen is that if you are able to identify these children at a very young age, the benefits for them throughout their entire educational experience are unmeasurable. One of the issues that I've had as a Bronx resident for a long time, as someone who's involved in the Community Education Council or community boards, was that we don't see a lot of Bronx kids going to Bronx specialized high schools. So we have the best high schools in the entire state right here in the Bronx. We have very small percentages of Bronx students that go to them. So what we'd like to see, and what I believe would happen, is if you identify high-performing children at a young age right here in the Bronx, if you build schools right here in the Bronx for them so they don't have to travel, so they're in their communities, you're just going to see over time more children prepared and eligible and in schools like Bronx High School signs.
Where they don't get lost and sauce, basically, in schools that are underperforming and not
Yeah.
stimulating for them.
We need to create educational opportunities for our children here in the Bronx. We just don't have them.
It's actually pretty interesting to me, because not to toot my own horn, but I mean, I grew up in Queens, and my parents put me, I took the test for a special
Sure.
for advanced students. And I remember that very distinctly when I was about, just before kindergarten, and they ask you a few questions, and as a child, you just answer questions you think you know, and then you get placed.
Yeah, it's not a very intense test. It's definitely comprehensive. And to the city's credit, anybody who signs up will be tested.
And it's not one of those things where so I know some parents might be worried that the kids, oh my god, I have to take a test, and like it's standardized, but no, it's very relaxed.
Yeah, definitely a low-pressure environment for your child. Again, you're talking 4 and 5-year-olds here.
Right.
But it's worth it. The benefits are tangible, and it's a great experience for your child.
Absolutely. If your child can be given the stimulation that they need to really make them feel like school is for them, then that'll last a lifetime.
Yeah, the environment, I think we spoke to any parent of any child that goes to any of the 5 citywide schools, they tell you that the learning environment is second to none. It's comparable to any private school, and we have lots of very expensive private schools in our city and in the Bronx that are out of reach for the majority of families. But these schools provide those type of learning environments. And that's a unique slice of the educational life here in New York, and more people need to be aware of it.
So where can people go for more information about PACE?
So we have a website, www.citywideschools.org, and we also have a petition right now on change.org. So it's a very long-winded search, but if you go on to change.org and you do a search for Bronx Citywide G&T, you'll get our petition, and I urge everyone to sign that petition and sign your children up for the test. The deadline is November 9th, and I'd just like to remind everybody again that we're having a forum that's co-sponsored by the Bronx Borough President, BP Diaz, in his office tomorrow night.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
It's been a pleasure coming into your homes, and I'd like to thank our guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you miss any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Cablevision Channel 67, Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. Have a great week, and don't forget to keep your heart, your mind, and most of all, this channel wide open. Have a great day.
Thanks, I really appreciate the opportunity.
Huh?
Who's up?
You can walk around this camera. This right here.
Well, where can I go?
Yeah, come around camera 3.
Done. It was well done.
I really appreciate